So we're going to learn about VQ ratios. Um, Essentially, this is what we know as gas exchange. V stands for ventilation, Q for perfusion. You don't need to know that because that's confusing. So I would start by understanding that there's four things that could happen in the lungs. So you either have a normal VQ ratio, which is a good gas exchange, a low VQ ratio, which is a shunt, and then a high VQ ratio, which is a dead space. And then absence of ventilation and perfusion, which is a silent unit. We'll we'll get that in a second. So this is normal. This is a healthy lung, and this is an alveolus. This is the deepest part of the lungs that air can reach and where gas exchange happens. This is where gas meets blood to exchange CO2 for O2. All right. So this is normal. This is a normal VQ ratio or just a healthy lung. Air comes from here, blood comes from here, blood drops off CO2 and picks up O2. That's normal. That's healthy. All right. In a shunt or in a low VQ ratio, there is low ventilation. The, the the ventilation is low, meaning the gas part is missing. There's no gas reaching the blood capillaries as it normally would. So CO2 can't pick up O2 or the alveolus can't pick up CO2 because to for the blood to drop off CO2, it has to pick up O2, but there's nothing here. So the blood comes here, it's closed, there's nothing to exchange. So the CO2 just stays in the blood. All right. And that leads to lack of oxygen because no oxygen was delivered and a rise in CO2 because no CO2 was dropped off. All right. And that's shunting. So the blood is just being shunted through because there's no gas exchange happening. All right. In the high VQ or a dead space, there's blockage in the blood, okay, in the capillary. So instead of normally, like I'm just gonna go back to normally, okay? Blood flows, drops off CO2, picks up O2 because there's gas here, okay? And then it just keeps going. All right. I'm going back to shunt. There's blood flow, but there's no gas, so nothing can happen. There's no exchange happening. Here, there's no blood at all, but there is gas. So there's O2 here available to be picked up, but there's nothing. There's nothing. It's just dead. So the air comes here, but it's just dead space. Nothing is happening. So the air is just being expelled. So you're wasting inhaled oxygen and you're just exhaling it because there's no blood to do the gas exchange. Okay. In a silent unit, there's a block of blood and a block of air. So no blood, no air. The whole unit is silent. It's useless. Nothing is working. Okay. So this, we're gonna go back to shunting now. It doesn't have to be blocked like this. It could happen through different ways. The point is, there's just no something in the alveolus, the lung part, the air part, is preventing gas from traveling. All right. So for low VQ, it listed examples such as pneumonia, atelectasis, tumor, or mucus plug. Pneumonia or mucus plug, it's because no, this would be filled with water or mucus, and gas doesn't really travel through water. Like it doesn't travel through thick water like that. It makes it harder. So the problem still lies on the alveolus part, the lung part, the air part. Something is preventing it. Atelectasis, it's just collapsed. So it's like the alveolus is useless. So no gas can reach it. Same principle. No gas, but there's blood flow. All right. And tumor, if the tumor is in the alveolus, it could physically block the air from reaching it. So same thing. No gas reaches the intersection of the capillary and the alveolus. So blood can't pick up O2 and can't drop off CO2. I hope that makes sense. In dead space, the problem is a blockage of blood or a lack of blood. So examples listed here are pulmonary embolus. So something is blocking the blood capillaries, or a cardiogenic shock or hypovolemia. So if there's just inadequate blood supply. So nothing is traveling through here. Oh, sorry. And then dead silent unit is just a combination of both. All right. So if that still doesn't make sense, or okay, so for D, it happens in pneumothorax or acute respiratory distress syndrome, which is it's just yeah, you have something like that does this, blocks the blood flow or blocks the shunt. Um, yeah, I hope I hope that makes sense. Um, I think what you have to understand is that you have to understand how it normally works first, and then you can divide it into two parts. So the gas part and the blood part. Okay. Two different areas, two different types of matter. So gas and blood. Um, think of like think of the alveoli, the gas, as customers in a restaurant, and the capillary, or like these are customers in the waiting room. The capillary is the waiters or the workers in the restaurant. Normally, O2 would be waiting, and then the waiters would finish with the CO2 and then pick up the O2. You know, it's like they're showing them the exit and then they're taking in new customers, right? In a shunt, it's closed. Like if the door suddenly gets locked in the waiting room, no more oxygen can get in. And so there's nothing for these guys to switch to. Like the CO2 can't leave, they can't get any more O2. So whatever's in here stays in here. So CO2 rises. Um, in a dead space, in a high VQ, it's like there's something, there's people in the waiting room, right? There's air, but then it's like the waiters are backed up, like something's happening, like they're understaffed. It's poor service, so no blood can reach the O2 just waiting here. And so they just get exhaled, nothing's happening. No gas exchange, no gas exchange, no gas exchange. And here's both. I feel like that was a bad example, but I'm just, yeah, if you understand how normal gas exchange happens, this these two are just where it happens, where the lack, which side of the equation is lacking or is being blocked, but they ultimately lead to um, lower gas exchange, which leads to CO2 retention in the system and a lower O2 in the system. And um, and yeah, and then when you understand that, the causes start to make sense. So causes for this side, the problem in the alveolus side would be things on that side of the alveolus. So pneumonia, the fluid and the mucus secretions would be filling this, right? And same thing for the mucus plug, right? For atelectasis, it would be collapsed like this. It would just shrink, all right? So the problem is on the alveoli, the lung side. For lungs, I mean for dead space, the problem is on the capillary, the blood side. So it'd be blocked on this side because of like a clot, or there would just be low blood. So not enough blood is reaching this. Okay, so the problem is on this side. So it could be pulmonary emboli, infarction, cardiogenic shock. It's a blood problem, not a gas problem. Okay, I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions.